So welcome. This is Tracy Davey. We're glad you're here with us. Actually, Bonnie and Jen are both on the call with us, and I'm sure they will help me and you to ensure we answer all questions. Feel free to tap in your questions throughout the presentation and we'll address them as we see them. And at the end, we're going to just have an open mic and you can ask every question you have and I'll stay on the line until I answer them. So here we go. I have great news in that tomorrow was supposed to have been the deadline to report your data in level 0, but the state has extended the deadline for when they need the data to May 28th, which means that we can collect this data and submit it for you to get to state ed on the 28th through 9 a.m. on the 26th of May. That gave us 2 additional weeks to get this work done. And in this presentation, I am going to highlight details about each template that I didn't cover in the March presentations, because at least then we had more time to go out to those different training pieces and videos on YouTube, but also giving you a high level view of how this verification of this data should work. Okay. This is a view of, actually this screen is wrong, I forgot to update it, of the L2RPT website. I'm actually going to go into it live later in the presentation to kind of give you a tour. Not looking at any data at all, but just looking at the structure of the environment. The state recommends that when using L2RPT that you use either Microsoft Edge or Internet Explorer. It works best that way for downloading your reports and whatnot. Also, to access it, you need to be careful. We use the exact same Cognos software for our level 1 of the data warehouse, which we call ReportNet. So things will look similar and you want to make sure that you're entering the right one. You would hover over secure and be sure to grab the NYC L2RPT. If you're not sure, I was actually on the phone with someone this morning about your password. If you go out to nysed.gov and in the upper right-hand corner, tap on Business Portal, you'll see this image here, and you can test your login. It's usually a first name dot last name, but it's whatever your charter leader created for you. And if the person I was on the phone with this morning, their password had expired, they immediately popped over to this prompt and reset their password. Now, when you reset your password, the email to do so, that token, is going to go directly to the email account on file for that username in that school. There's no cost to have a personal account. Your charter leader just might need to set it up for you. So, and we recommend, because of the requirements of Ed Law 2D and data privacy and security, everyone should have their own login and never share passwords. And so that's my soapbox for the moment. I probably have to jump on it again for a bit. And if you, actually, I'm going to show you in a little bit, we have directions on our website to get there. So the reason we do all this is because the federal government says that the states have to collect certain information, and that's what they do. The information is also reported publicly at data.nysed.gov. In this current view, this is the landing page, and I think I'm looking at the 18-19 school year. Currently at data.nysed.gov, this particular set of reports on student and educators is not active for the 1920 school year. As I'm making this video on the 11th of May, that data is currently embargoed. If you have an L2RPT and Business Portal sign-in, you can actually go to data.nysed.gov, hover down in the bottom and find somewhere a link to log into that site. So as I show you information here, it's going to be for prior years. The information that is gathered through the templates that we're talking about here for auto certification appears in 2 different places on the state report card. It's here in that data section under the school report card. We'll look there first. You can build the full report card by selecting all and telling the software to build it right there on your screen, or you can choose just one part. And right now we want to look at staff qualifications. This is all publicly available data, and anyone can view anyone else's data that's out there. At the top of all of these screens are 2 great resources. glossary and guide if you're ever not sure about the information that's on the screen. Where did they calculate it from? Where could you have reviewed it in L2RPT? And the business rules, the ESSA rules for Every Student Succeeds Act. Tap here on this glossary and guide. It is on every single page on their website, and it's super helpful. There is an area here to download the statewide database. This is huge. Newspapers, television stations, legislatures, whoever needs this information, wants to do some research, they're grabbing that file and they're using it for whatever their needs are. So let's specifically now look at your school report staff snapshot, telling the state and the federal government, all the people who work there. And then you report auto certification information. Now, previously in the 17-18 school year, this data was sourced from the TA system. That's retired, which is a good thing. For a couple of years, they had everyone do all that work in TA and still collect a course instructor assignment. And now we're just doing it in one place. The definition of inexperienced teachers and inexperienced principals changed under ESSA. And it's now based on having 4 years of experience in education. So that's just important to know. It used to be 3. Looking specifically at teacher qualifications, I just picked a random charter school in New York State. And this particular school did not report complete teacher data. There's this warning at the bottom of the page, and you'll notice that whether or not they had experienced or inexperienced teachers is blank. The state started in the 17-18 school year that if schools didn't report this required CIA course instructor assignment template, that they then stopped showing certain data on the website. I guess they wanted to be motivating to get everything done, so you would have a full report card, for whoever may be looking, newspapers, your authorizer, maybe potential parents and your board of education or whatnot. Then certification information appears over here in the upper right-hand side. Back in the maybe 15, 16, 16, 17 school years, there used to be 2 categories for our teachers and certifications, but now under ESSA, the federal government only wants 1. They want a total aggregate and just a count and the percentage of teachers at every public school that are teaching either outside of their field of certification or without certification. It's together in one group. You have to go back to like a 16, 17 report card to see those 2 pieces separately. So that's what these numbers are. And that's kind of important as we go down and look through these other screens to keep in mind that it is all people on your staff who are teaching who are either not certified for the exact class or have any certification. And of course, as a charter school, you guys can have charter exemptions. You can also assign certified teachers to other classes. So we'll continue to discuss how this information will show. Under the student educator section of the report card, by tapping there, you'll be able to see information about your class sizes. These exact numbers, they used to come from TA, this image over here on the right. But then when they were using the course instructor assignment and student class entry exit data, and that's reported through level 0, they said, hey, we can report more classes. And so they chose to go with every class that leads to a state assessment. And when there's no state assessment, they're just going to show average class sizes at the grade levels for kindergarten, grade 1, and grade 2. On our website, if you need to get a personal account, and I'm not sure if it'll appear at the bottom or over on the right-hand side of your screen, but there is a link to set-offs, entitlements, and a full user guide. When I was working at schools and I needed a superintendent to give me this access, I had this open on my laptop and was saying, look for this, look for that. And I had my account in just a matter of minutes. So I highly recommend that. If you need to get an account, just follow those directions. This is a view that will be able to look at exactly as you report data, what information can be verified at the state education department level in their L2RPT. I'm going to use a ton of acronyms. I do it without even thinking. So forgive me for that. I'll try to make sure I define them all, and please tap into the chat if I forget one. L2RPT stands for level 2 reporting. And that is the state education themselves, their data warehouse. Level 0 is that subfloor where you guys get to dump your data in. Level 1, we take it as it passes verification, does the L1 data prep, we move it up to level 1. Eastern Suffolk BOCES and the New York City Department of Education are both level 1 providers. We manage data warehouses, and state ed is level 2. Data at all 3 of those levels, and if you have your level 0 account, you know what number of verifications of email and whatnot that we put you through to get an account. They are all show personally identifiable information, PII, for both staff and students. There is a level 3 of the data warehouse, and that's the federal government, right? And all that data has to flow up there, but all of that is aggregate. The federal government only gets from our state counts. There are so many schools, there are so many charter schools, there are so many teachers at those schools, there are this number of students, and there are, race and ethnicities among the staff and students, and scores and whatnot, and average class sizes, all aggregate at the level 3. Anyway, for you to ensure that your data flows correctly to both data.niced.gov, at the state report card, and for the federal government, you'll want to review these reports. Once staff snapshot is reported, you're going to have 2 reports available in L2 RPT. Please know that this is not instantaneous. The only place where you guys can do reporting and the work is instantaneous is in ATS. Their CSIS system, those 2 pieces automatically flow. Remember, New York City is their own data warehouse. That data flows automatically for you. You don't have to load into level 0 and verify it. You do all that work in your regular system. And your local student management system. That's your live data. Who are the kiddos in your classes and in school that day? We get information from the city once a week, and we move data back once a week. So I'll show you on a calendar shortly, what that time lag is. Okay, so your report staff snapshot, the data gets to state ed. L2 RPT gets refreshed with a SIRS 320. I'll show you a glimpse of that. It's everything that that you put in the staff snapshot. And then also the 329 becomes available, which tells you everyone's certification. This is a view of the 320. All of these fields are in here. In staff snapshot, you had to report emails and dates of birth and blah, blah, blah. It's all in there. You can verify it to ensure that your data went up. Again, once staff snapshot is populated, the 329 will be available. And this is a wonderful report. You're able to see for every person in staff snapshot, whether or not they were reported as a teacher or not. And then you see their exact certifications. You'll also see the effective date. If there is an expiration date, you'll be able to see that also. And the code of, what's this? The certification type code. Very, very useful information. Once you report data in your course instructor assignment, this tells the state which classes your teachers are teaching and exactly how many sections of a particular class they have. Then they're going to do a cross-reference between the course codes and the teach IDs to determine if and which of your teachers are certified for every single class. You can review and verify your course instructor assignment information with the SIRS 330 report. SIRS stands for the Student Information and Repository System. I realize I did not define that acronym for you. And this is the report that we're highly interested in right now, that 328. That once your school reports the student class entry exit, that's going to populate the class size information on the school report card for New York State. Then another column will be populated in that same report showing the class sizes. And the cool thing about L2 RPT, whenever you see a number that's blue and underlined, you can actually drill down to the exact names of what's in that tally. Okay, so let's take a look at this 328 report. Again, it goes from the staff snapshot. I think I went backwards. Yes, here we go. Maybe I have duplicate slides. This one is the 328. You would see the course codes reported for a school. The assumption here, actually, they reported specifically ELA for that class and math. So this is one teacher teaching those two core classes. There's also a code to report just grade 2, and that can, that might be an easier way, one less. You don't have to, at the elementary level, you don't have to break out the subjects individually unless they are taught in a compartmentalized way, where you have like a social studies teacher and a science and a math and English. If you have a homeroom model, then you can just use that homeroom designation. In course instructor assignment, you denote the language the course is taught in, and then you're going to get information back based on the certification from, that's researched after they have the Teach IDs, and then the course information based on the course instructor assignment. Right here, they're telling you if that teacher is certified for that exact class. It's possible that a teacher would have multiple entries be certified for some, but not all of them. Here's that certified yes or no. And then you get to review whether or not they were tagged in their staff snapshot as an exemption from certification, because you're a charter school and you can hire people who are not certified. These pieces over here are pretty important, the next 3. As you are reporting your teachers, every course must have a primary teacher. Someone's responsible for the curriculum, the evaluation of the students in their classes, and scoring and passing. So who is the primary teacher for every single class? If you have multiple teachers in the same room, or maybe you have a person who's duly qualified, maybe you have a teacher who is both an elementary teacher and special education, they might have yes in both of these indicators. But if you have a special education teacher in a particular room and you tag this indicator, then a special ed teacher being in a physics class, maybe that's not logical, those in an ELA class, right? They don't have a certification for ELA, but because they're a special education teacher and you've tagged them as doing special education support in that classroom, they will then be considered certified. And also the same for ENL, but there might be additional people in that class. Incidental teaching is always no for charter schools. At the public schools, there is a regulation that allows a teacher to teach, currently under COVID, up to 2 sections outside their certification. At the charter schools, we have charter exemptions, and we can have entirely uncertified teachers. So that's a little bit for them. As I mentioned, when you see your Teach ID listed here, underlined and blue, it's a hyperlink. And I love this piece. So if I wanted to see, I thought this teacher had a certification, I can tap on their ID, and then it takes me directly, it opens up a second window, and you'll have both reports open. And now you can see exactly what that person's certification was. Another beautiful thing about this is once you're on the screen, it's the full report. If you change it from that individual teacher's name to all teachers, then you can just toggle back and forth between those 2 windows on your browser and review everything that you want to. This is the old certification report. You probably can still see the 1920 school year report out on the IRSP, which is the Information and Reporting Services portal. But again, this has gone away. The one thing that I think I'm going to miss the most is where here's a teacher who is certified as special education, right? We can see that they had provisional 5-year initial cert for being a consultant teacher. This person was tagged as special ed in a couple of classrooms, but then the charter other popped up. Not seeing that charter other is a bummer, but if you toggle back and forth between your 328, 329, maybe you'll want to make your own report to help show your charter leader or your board of education exactly what the lineup is. That is not so different than it was before. The state is just reporting it differently. I'm going to talk about this particular example from last year a little bit longer. This person had 4 assignments. 2 of them were tagged specifically as being a consultant teacher and within her special education or his certification, and then 2 math classes. Thinking about the current method with course instructor assignments, if this person is special education certified, And if they're not the 7th grade math teacher, but the special education teacher in that math class, they might have forgotten to tag the special education indicator. And you might want to fix that immediately, because that would show that this person is within cert, and then they won't be counted in the out of certification counts that will be reported publicly. I highly recommend, depending on where you are, getting your data, this course instructor assignment, into level 0 at your earliest convenience. If you have whatever you have there, even if it's just a few teachers, by 9 a.m. tomorrow, we'll move that data next Monday. You can at least start looking at what that report looks like for your school and specifically for those teachers, and maybe determine if you have any corrections to make. On our website, the easiest way to find any resource is in the upper right-hand corner using this magnifying glass. You don't have to worry about logging into our website. The only time we're going to use that is when we get back to meeting you guys in person and meeting up with you at some DOE building, hopefully this fall, for refresher or new level 0 trainings. The best way to reach us is at, well, that's the email address, is the email, wait, that's the website. Up here's the email where it's nyccharterdata@esboses.org. Any email that comes to that goes to a ticketing system, and the first available agent will get back to you as soon as possible. When you do the search, I did have a spelling error there, but my second word wasn't wrong. And it brought me all of the relevant documents that include that word. If you actually hit an enter here, then you're going to get a specific list. This is like a dynamic, pop up as soon as you start typing. This is a view of level 0, and I know I have a lot of chatter on this view, but this is the information that has to be reported. If your school hasn't started yet, and I know that there are a bunch who are just getting started on this process, the first piece of data to report is really the staff snapshot. If you look back to a C Weekly from October, we were encouraging you to report your staff snapshot and staff assignment at that time. For the May 28th deadline, you need your staff snapshot in there for all your teachers and at least your principal. If you're in a hurry right now to make that deadline, make sure you get your principal in there. That principal needs a staff assignment. Certain people at your building, non-teaching professionals, since they don't have a course instructor assignment saying what they teach, you do need to give them a title for the work that they do. The next step, 1 and 2, are prerequisites to that major reporting. And this doesn't matter what order you do it in. You can either do courses next, or you could do location marking period next. There are 2 independent pieces, but when you report your courses, you need to tell the state, your course instructor assignment, what courses are in your school. And they also need to know, when do students earn a grade and get credit? When do you decide pass or fail during the school year? That's that location marking period. So those 2 pieces need to go in next. Then you can report your course instructor assignment. Once course instructor assignment is completed, you should also be reporting your student class entry exit. This template is where the class size information comes from. The ones on this side, the course instructor assignment, you really need to hit that template and get that complete before the 26th of May at 9 a.m. So remember, out of certification reporting is a multi-step process: staff snapshot, staff assignment, course, right? Location marking period, course instructor assignment, and hopefully you can get that course class, the student class entry exit data in there shortly thereafter also. There's 3 ways to do your reporting, and we will help you wherever we can. If you have a student management system, certain systems literally have a button. You'll get an export and you can load it directly into level 0. We have files in Excel to help you with your data. Sometimes we can leverage data from last year. Once you report your classes, if you don't have a student management system that can give you the report that you need, we can leverage that information into the format to create your course instructor assignment records. And then manual input is always available. When you loaded your data from either one of these first 2 options, if you ever have any errors, you're going to wind up on that manual input screen and be able to fix things. These are the 4 software systems. I think of them as big dogs in New York State. They have a section somewhere in their software for state reporting. And you would, again, be able to hit a button, staff snapshot. courses, location marking period. You're going to hit it, it's going to pop out, you're going to load it, and you're going to say, thank God we got that software. When the state education department makes changes, they email these guys and they say, hey, we're having a meeting. Come find out what changes are coming next and when your schools need them. This is an example of a ReportNet report. That's our level 1. Once you report your location marking period and courses in level 0, 10 minutes later, you can go to ReportNet and download this file for your school. And this is set up, this is just fake data here, real courses, but fake data otherwise. It gives you 1 line per class that you reported in level 0. And then you would create the individual sections for your teachers. So if you have one 7th grade English teacher, and that person has 5 sections, you're going to need 5 sections of this line 9, and you're going to add information with a teacher ID. When did that teacher start teaching the class? Is this the primary incidental, not incidental, primary special ed or ESL teacher, and that kind of information. But whenever we can save you keystrokes, we will. I'm not lazy. I just like to be accurate, and I know I'm not the best typist. You saw that when I typed attendance wrong. Again, in level 0, you can always do things manually in there, and then that's where all your uploading is done. Now, the next part I want you to think of like a recipe. I'm going to tell you the pieces that you need for each template and an approximate time to do that work. If you need to report a new person in Staff Snapshot, or if you haven't started yet, there are 22 pieces of information that we need for every person who needs a Staff Snapshot. Putting this information together is going to take longer than inputting the data. But as you can imagine, that is going to be tedious work and it's going to be time consuming. So don't wait. There's work to be done if you're missing someone. Again, just a reminder, this is where that certification exemption is reported for your teachers. If you are not sure whether or not your teachers are certified, report them as no for now and get that data to L2RPT, and then review the 329 for all of your certifications, and then you can go back to level 0. And if someone is not certified, then you can, at that point, tag them as a certified teacher. These are real people working at a BOCES school, but to do the reporting of staff assignments, you're going to need to know who are the people at your school. And then you need to consider, for someone who has a teaching job, they're going to get a course instructor assignment record, right? So there's 2 people I don't have to do anything with for staff assignment, but I need to add an assignment for a principal, for school social workers, and for school counselors. On the state of report card, I didn't show you that exact screen, but focusing on out of certification here, your social workers and school counselors, there's a count on the school report card. Having people in those positions is good for the school climate, and so that and under ESSA, that data is reported publicly. Also, these staff members with a staff assignment, that information is used for reference, and like how much does it cost to run your school, right? Because you have to pay these other professional salaries, but there's no certification match on data reported in staff assignment. If you happen to have a teacher who also wears another hat, maybe part-time dean of discipline or a chairperson, they would have both a course instructor assignment and a staff assignment. Could be the reverse. I knew a principal who was a reading teacher, and this person would take a couple of her weakest readers every year and work with them personally. So in her staff snapshot, it had to be set up as both principal and a teacher. And then she had a courses instructor assignment record also. I don't even know where Leesville is. It's just a stock image available on Google. To report your courses, you're going to need a list of your courses. So make sure you have a list of your classes. We will give you some information to help you to find classes. Actually, this is a great spot to mention it. For you have a staff snapshot in. Your non-teaching professionals, they need a staff assignment, but you might not find their exact title there. The same thing is really expected in your courses. There isn't going to be necessarily a state code with a title that matches what you see here. This one is interesting, right? A pre-AP section of listed as argument theory, or maybe this cultural media literacy. If you can't find the exact thing, what you need to do for both areas, staff assignment or courses, find a title that represents the topic and link it to that. Every assignment needs to be linked to an assignment code. Every course needs to be listed to a state code. In the state course catalog, in every section, English, math, computers, art, language, there's always an other, so that you can at least get into that area and tag it as a state course, and then they can do a certification match based on that. To report your location marking period, you need to know when your students, when the school gives that report card out that says that a child has either passed or failed each class that they're in, or any class. If you are a K-12 school, it's very likely that, and you have various report cards, the state isn't concerned about every report card or interim report that you put out. They want to know when a kid can pass or fail a class. So it's very likely that you will need at least one location marking period for full year classes. At your middle school, you might not need any other. Middle schools are frequently decided at the end of that year too. Even if you have a quarterly art class, a music class, and whatnot, if the students are just taking each one once a year, you could still have one full year location marking period, and you report whether or not they passed or failed those quarterly classes at the end. At a high school, that does not necessarily work. One, if you have trimesters, maybe your kiddos are only taking a couple classes each time, and they actually get the credit at the end of 1/3 of the school year. In that case, you would need 3 trimesters. And then if it's the other scenario is usually semesters. In a fall semester, if the health is a half-year class, if someone can get health, PIG, or economics, PIG is participation in government, if they can get credit for those classes at half a year, you need to let the state know in location marking period that here's one marking period, fall, and then spring. And then, yeah, we do have some full year classes. So you just need to make sure that whenever a final grade is decided. I'm going to give you an example of why the state needs that. Imagine a kiddo is taking health in the fall and they fail it. They were in the very first class in the morning, and it was called section 1, and it was, term 1, whatever, you have, whatever, however you have that marking period designated for the fall. Then you reschedule them in that class first period in the spring. They didn't get to study how they're going to repeat health. If it's still section 101, and if you don't have a designation as a different semester and location marking period, the 2 records are going to come into level 0, and then the state's going to say, well, throw that one out, we've got this. As they load in the file, whatever one is closest to the top is going to be loaded first. So let's say that's the recent spring semester happens to be loaded in first. You didn't designate that there's 2 different semesters and it's the same section 101. The first one, when it reads the second class, the fall failure, it's going to throw out the failure and throw out the passing and keep the failure. So as long as you show them as separate marking periods, you will ensure that if someone repeats a class, their data is safe. Then the master schedule. It's from this that you will create your course instructor assignment reporting. You'll need to look at each teacher and see how many sections of their classes they have. Again, it's just by topics. If you don't find exactly health and wellness title, you might find health other. Okay, you're definitely going to find high school PE and middle level PE. When it comes to here's a science teacher, if they have let's look at it. They have 2 sections of physical science. If there is a special education teacher in one section or the other, you'll have 2 course instructor assignment records for that exact section, one for the primary teacher and one for the special education teacher. If the ENL teacher is also in there, you're going to have a 3rd one for that particular record. It's possible that you have a co-teaching model. Let's say the 7th grade section here, number 1 has, and I'm just saying 1 because it's first period. If they have 2 primary teachers in there and it's a big room, maybe it was just worked out well to put 2 people in there and go ahead and have 38 kids in 1 room. The state will handle 2 primary teachers differently, and we're going to look at that momentarily. So here's how long to cook this stuff. Really, I'm looking at every record in this area. If you had to manually enter a staff snapshot, maybe that data got reported last fall, you just have a new teacher you need in level 0 now to complete your CIA reporting. It's probably going to take you 4 to 5 minutes to enter that data. It might take longer to collect that data, but it's going to take a little bit of time, right? That's still manageable. A staff assignment record, there's a drop down in level 0. You can find your principal, add the principal assignment, and then tell the state what was the first date that that person started that job in the current school year. If they were the principal last year, you're probably going to put in July 1st, and that'll take you less than a minute. You're going to hit save and validate, and you're going to go on to the next item. If you are a small and a new school, entering your courses manually is a possibility. Also, we have a template for that on our website, which is pretty easy to put everything together very fast. Actually, I helped the school yesterday, a K-8 building, and we probably got it done in, well, actually, I know the whole phone call was 44 minutes, and I went through that template with her. I think Jen has a great video going through that step-by-step on our YouTube channel also. But if you have to adjust something in level 0, you get to the end, you're like, oh, darn, I forgot that resource room. You can add that class in less than 1 minute. Location marking period, it would take less than 1 minute to say we have a full year class that started on September 2nd and ends on June 26th. I may have those dates, could be weekends, I don't know. but that's it, you have to put in 2 dates and you save it. If you have multiples to put in, then it's going to take about 1 minute per record, but you will need those dates in front of you. Course instructor assignment. I've been on the phone with people and I promise them, look, we'll get 3 teachers done in 10 minutes. And I step through it step by step and tell them this field, you're putting this and that. And we go through it carefully. Once you've done that a couple of times, use our video. And I do have an 11-minute video with that demo addressing multiple teachers in a room and everything else. You'll be entering each person in 2 to 3 minutes. If your school, you know what, even if you had 100 records, look at that, that's about 2 hours. You'll be done in level 0 doing it there. We do have Excel files for all this stuff. I showed you we had an extract, but in level 0, you would never have to look up a teach ID. You're going to find a person's name on a drop down and it might be easier. So again, this part of the discussion here was for someone who is kind of worried about, do you have enough time to get everything done? I think you do. You definitely do. Even if the deadline was Wednesday, for some of you who can dedicate the next day to do it, you could have. But so don't worry. You have time till the 26th at 9 a.m. to get this work in. As I mentioned before, incidental teaching in the course instructor assignment, I believe it's the very last question, is always responded with NA. When the state is asking you for an alpha entry, multiple times you will find that it is just capital letters. If you're putting in a person's name and email address, obviously it's not that, but when it's a particular code they want, it needs to be in all caps. I recommend that you yourselves, if you know you have an L2RPT report account, go log in. If it's not you and it's your charter leader, recommend that they go log in and look to see that they see all the folders. If not, at least here, and I believe in every C Weekly in the Eastern Suffolk BOCES section since April 3rd, there's a link to a survey. I just barely cut it off here. You need to report to the city if you cannot see all folders. There was a major update to the software within the last 11 months or so, and they need to touch everyone's account to make sure that it works and that you see all folders. Okay. So this next part, this one is a couple of questions that are frequently asked of us here at BOCES, and then I'm going to show you some information straight out of the SIRS manual. For the most part, in this current school year, there's a question on the CIA about the delivery method. They want to know if it was face-to-face, a blending of online or face-to-face, distance learning or online. What they want is information about the design of your course. If all of your courses were designed to be in person and you are only online because of COVID, then you should continue to report face-to-face. Blended learning is a combination of online classes and face-to-face, but you're really only going to report that if the class was always online and partially face-to-face. Again, always, not just during COVID. A distance learning class is usually like maybe at a network of schools, or you can buy in even from a college university or something, where a teacher is teaching the class someplace, and you have a media room where your students are going to sit together like a class, and there's maybe a teaching assistant or a teacher in the room there, but the instruction is coming from someone else at a distant location, or maybe it's leaving your building and going to another class at a distant location. And that's when you want to use distance. And the class is always taught from a distance or projected to another place at a distance. Online is for classes that are only offered online always. So again, the most common response is going to be still face. And notice these are all in caps, the way the state likes it. The next few questions come directly from the SIRS manual. When you see the the regular traditional text here, that's direct verbiage from the manual. This starts on page 107 of the latest version 16.11. They've had 11 versions of this manual since September of 2020. And the lower section are my notes. Okay, I think I missed a question there. Someone help. Where can the blank templates can be found? Great, thank you, Jen, for popping in there. If you don't have your chat open, you might want to see it. Jen put a link in there to our website and showing you specifically how to get to some blank templates. CIN template is no longer size template labeled format. Oh, so if you have a student management system, I'm going to get this wrong. It's either Jupyter or Juniper. I don't remember. Something like that, or Teacher Ease. And, I've definitely heard a bunch of different small products, not one of those big dogs. If you have a system like that can give you the information that you need for course instructor assignment, the section of the class, who are the teachers in the class, and the code of the class, the title and whatnot, we have a blank template on our website that shows all templates. It gives you a technical listing of how the template has to be put together in an actual format. And you can, if you're good with Excel, you can import it into that format and upload to level 0 easily. Okay, let's get back to these FAQs. And I mentioned this already. If you are looking, how do districts determine which assignment to report? So if you're not completely confident that the course I'm telling you, it's not going to happen, right? We saw that, what was it, a media class. If you don't see a course title in the state's catalog that matches exactly, and there are over 2,000 options, you're going to grab a title that represents the class and the subject of the class at your school. Here's just another, like a common one that might happen. If you have an accelerated section of Math 6 and you have a regular Math 6, even though one class is different and doing cool stuff, not that the other one isn't, but you're still going to map them both to your Mathematics 6 class. Even if you have a creative name for your junior level English classes that lead to that assessment, you're going to, in those cases, whenever something leads to a state assessment, make sure you're grabbing the code that's mapped to that state assessment. Again, your local codes, in names, you can be as creative as you wish. Librarians are expected to be reported in course instructor assignment. This is the code, and there is no class entry exit expected. The state assumes that the librarians help everybody. Speech teachers, how are they reported? It might be that they just need a staff assignment in level 0, that they don't need a course instructor assignment record. Because if they're a speech consultant, I forgot exactly what the title is, then maybe they're going into the multiple different classrooms and helping kiddos as teachers need it, or even pulling them out and servicing them. They're not grading kids, and maybe they do have a curriculum, but it's not something that's going on their transcript. When it needs to be a course instructor assignment, the following titles here are going to have this person be a teacher with a course instructor assignment and come up as certified for the exact class. they can teach public speaking or communications, forensic speech regarding either debate or individual event, those are two different codes, or speech specifically as an independent study, workplace experience, or other. Again, this starts on page 107 of the SIRS manual. Specific specials, how are those reported? Thinking here about the elementary level, maybe middle school. The state does expect all those classes to be reported, and they should be by grade level whenever possible. If you have a class, I know of 2 elementary schools, one offers yoga, and I'm like, how cool to have kindergartners learn to breathe and relax. And another has fencing, another one, you have to learn safety, right? And patience and strategy, right? Great, great stuff. Not that all of you aren't like, teaching that too, but those 2 are like, wow, I wish I could have done that. If you're not following the typical state curriculum, as this is what we do in first grade art, second grade art, fifth grade gym, then for each of these areas, art, music, phys ed, and whatnot, there will be one with no grade differential. And then you can apply that to each of the kiddos at any grade in between. How should common branch classes be reported? If you have departmentalized teaching for like math and ELA, science, social studies, then you should break out those classes individually. If you are using a homeroom model, then you can just report that grade level course. Resource courses, they have specific codes. The codes, about 2,000 of the codes that New York State uses come from a national registry of course coding. But they have created some specific ones, including resource rooms. IB and AP classes. Not only does the state say you must report them, and so right, we should, but you want to report them because AP and IB courses will also be used in your school's accountability rating for providing college and career readiness courses. So this is going to make your school look better and get recognized for the great work that you're doing. So make sure that if you have an approved AP or did I say that right? AP or IB course, that you are reporting those. And the course catalog has very specific classes for all of the approved AP, Advanced Placement by the College Board, or IB, International Baccalaureate courses. So again, if you can't find a specific class, find a title for a class in the state catalog that closely represents the instruction that's being done. Let's see, there is a crosswalk on the IRSP, the Information Reporting Services portal of nysed.gov, right, the business portal, that can help you. We actually have it on our website. I'm going to show you that one too. I don't want to forget crosswalk and L2. If you have academic intervention classes at your school, here are some codes to show what those teachers are teaching. I will post this PowerPoint to our website very shortly after today's meeting and give you all those resources. Reading teachers, there is a staff assignment for reading consultant, and then they might not need course instructor assignments. If your teachers are assigned to students, and they're not just working with them for a period of time to kind of like get them over a particular challenge, and they have a course list for the entire year, then you might want to add them in course instructor assignment. One other note from, I think this is the last note out of the SIRS manual here regarding your PE teachers, there's just 2 certifications for PE, and they're like all K-12. So you don't have to worry about that. A certified teacher will show as certified easily there. Minimum requirements for non-certified teachers. You know what, Christian, I'll send that out later. It's something about highly qualified, like Lance Armstrong would qualify because he's a professional athlete. I know that's actually one of the classifications. And the other one is to be, yeah, I'll find that and I'll send that out maybe on the whole listserv to help people. Hang on, I gotta take a note of that. Okay, thank you. What courses do the districts use for students in a NYSAA, NYSA class, New York State Alternate Assessment? So if it's an all-day special ed class with a special education teacher, then you want to look for a self-contained code. Again, this is an area where our state created specific codes, and it looks for a special education certification. It's not in the federal lineup. They actually didn't collect any special ed codes federally, which surprises me. And then there is a certification required for gifted and talented if you have those classes. That's another place where the state will be looking for an exact match for that certification. Page 113 at the end of all those questions has some big information, but I'm going to break it down nice and easy for you here. Teachers without an appropriate certification will be deemed out of certification. And I warned you that when we were looking at data.niced.gov. That category, a count and a percent of teachers teaching outside of certification, is based on someone not being certified for that exact class and someone who is a charter school exemption and not certified at all. They're all going to get clumped together in one spot. My recommendation there was to track your data for how many are actually certified and legal as a charter school, or maybe the Lance Armstrong at your school who is a professional athlete and can teach your gym classes, you know, that kind of stuff. You might want to outline that for your website, your parents, your board. So there can be two primary teachers, right? I think I gave an example of an ELA class with two primary teachers in a larger section than maybe most of your classes have. If you report two primary teachers, and one started at the beginning of the year, and then you realize that class was getting big as kids were coming off a remote and coming back in the building. So you got a second teacher in there, and then you have a course instructor assignment. The first teacher was there from day one. The next one started maybe by November. The state is actually going to look to do a certification match on the latest person to enter the class. They're warning you, that's what they do. That's the rule. If the newest person to come in the class, that's who we're going to check, which is actually a good thing if you had someone in the room and then maybe that person wasn't certified in the beginning, but then the next one coming in is, that's what they're going to use. If though, if two teachers started in the room at the same time and only one is certified, the state is going, right, they're looking at the certification match. Two primary teachers, one certified, same start date. We're going to take the certified teacher, put them in the counts publicly at data.niced.gov, and at for the federal reporting, there's a certified teacher for this class. They're going to ignore the second teacher. And the same thing will be true if there's two special education teachers in the room or two ENL teachers in the room. So that's nice, right? They want to show you that you have a certified teacher there and you're in great shape. In the CERS document, it states that the 328 report for out of certification is going to be for certifications active on March 1st of 2021. Previously, when we used the TAA system, TAA, Teacher Access and Authorization, that certification check was on BEDS Day. Your teacher had to be certified on BEDS Day in order to be counted as certified in your out of certification report. Now with their new system where it's electronic and they can refresh the data every week, I was looking at a 328 with a school last week, and we saw that a teacher was tagged as certified and they had just gotten their certification on March 31st. So they guaranteed early in the year that it would be March 1st, but I guess they got an extra data load, which is cool, right? I do like the new process. It's going to, in the old process, you only got an out of certification report in like June and you had a few weeks to fix it. Now, as soon as you report course instructor assignment, you will get your certification report and you can fix it every single week until you get it right. So if you're someone who's doing it the last minute this year, you're going to know the process and do it earlier next year. Call us for help. We're going to help you. Okay, I'm going to go through a quick screens here. And if you have to leave, I understand I can talk a lot. And otherwise, and there will be a recording of this one also. The best way to reach us is this email address. Again, it goes to a ticketing system. Whoever's available next will get back to you. On our website, certain questions we can't answer. And actually, I don't show it here. There is a data support at nysed.gov. And that's a question and help desk for state ed. If I can't answer your question, I may very well forward request that you go contact the city directly or the state education department. I love when you ask me questions for state ed because I meet with them every single week and I can frequently get an answer quickly. And the state also knows that I'm working with 267 schools in New York City, and I might save them phone calls and emails, so they tend to answer our questions quickly. So please feel free to ask us, and we will give you whatever information we know. We'll research it and whatnot. Also on this part over here on the quick links of our homepage, there is a survey. If you like this or any other of our recordings, please feel free to fill that out. That's actually part of our contract with the city that we would take surveys annually. So we'll probably ask you again. We have a new way for you to dispatch a file to us. Secure Courier can be a little clunky to use, and it was just another login that you had to monitor. We have a new app on our website where you can send us a file. It has to be in either a CSV or text format. You can have any template open, simply save it as CSV, and then you can load it up to us. Again, this is highly secure. It actually will only work if you have, we can only accept files for someone who has a authorization to level 0. If you have a level 0 account, you can come here. You don't have to create a new account or a new password. You're going to hover over secure, tap on file dispatcher, put in your email. If we recognize you as a level 0 friend, you're going to get a link with a verification code. You put it into the website, and then you can upload a file. You can upload multiple files, but for each file you upload, you will get a new verification code. We have to ensure that everything that we offer you is EdLaw 2D compliant and has the highest standards for data privacy and security for both staff and students. ESBOCES is an educational agency. Actually, if you see LEAs typed anywhere, it stands for a local educational agency. And we are one, and again, compliant with EdLaw 2D and data privacy and security regulations. You've probably heard me say this before. We're not going to judge your data. If you report a teacher's salary or you report someone teaching a particular class, I don't even know if it's right. You're just giving me your data, and I'm happy to say, yes, I got data. I can, I know you're on track for meeting a state ed requirement. So don't worry about us judging your stuff, but we will count it. If you've got an email from me, you might have, warning you that we know a deadline's coming. Can we help you? That's what we're going to do. So please forgive us if we sound a little naggy. We just want to make sure that if you need help, we're here for you and to call us. Or if you didn't realize the deadline was around the corner, we're going to remind you when that happens. And then, of course, here's the question and answer section. And here's a word from our sponsors and our phone number. But I do want to show you a couple of other quick things. I'm going to go to L2RPT. Let me bring that on the screen here. When you log in, I'm going to silence that, sorry. You will know if you're on our website or not. Right here, it actually says NYC in the title. Ours, it says ESBOCES. And when you're in L2RPT or on that landing screen to log in, you will see a little lighthouse logo in the upper left-hand corner. Yes, okay, so I just got a question regarding, it's in the chat, when you are loading your course instructor assignment and a concern about whether or not you're using the state code or local code. If you don't have a major management system and your classes are just grade 1, grade 2, and you don't have a local code assigned to it, it might be easy, especially if you're using our reports, to use the state code in both the local field and the state field. If you have one of those big dog softwares or some of those other powerhouses that are great, but not quite state, New York State compliant, and you have a local code for your class, like Bio 101 is first year bio, something like that, then yes, when you create your course record, you're going to map Bio 101 to that state code for biology. It also might be that you have like an advanced elective or something in biology that is, I don't know, let's think human genetics or something. I don't know if there's a genetics code. You might map that to biology too. And then that would have a different local code. So yes, just be sure that your local codes are mapped correctly. When you come into L2RPT, the best thing to do, if you've been here before and ran other reports recently, would be to ensure that there are no reports. Actually, this is true. It's when you're in Cognos, our level 1 report net and the state's IBM Cognos it's all the same software. And if you go to run a report because you want to see the data that you've just reported, something you've run before, now you fixed in level 0, you want to verify it, you need to ensure that the old report isn't sitting here. This is frustrating, but it's what IBM set up. Actually, when you first log into the software, this is probably your landing screen. I have shut that off so that I see most recent reports so I can hop back to them quickly and easily, and it can either be a list or in tile format. Over here on the left, you can always come back to this page by hitting home or tapping on the logo up here. Team content is where you usually go to places. If you know you're looking for the SIRS 328, you can type in SIRS 328 and it gives me, it helps me to get out there. Otherwise, you're going to tap on team content and go to L2RPT SEDAS. I don't think I defined SEDAS. I showed you on our website, if you needed an account for the business portal or L2RPT, then there was a SEDAS guide. SEDAS stands for the State Education Department's Delegated Administrator System. And that's the part where charter leaders have the ability to delegate and administer accounts for the state systems locally. Okay, so when you tap on this one, the survey that was mentioned about who sees what in L2RPT, everyone should see all the same folders that I have here. Actually, you might not see UIAS, and that's a unique identification something system. Sorry, I forgot what the A stands for. If this is the nicest ID, the New York State student individual, I can't think of that last full acronym right now either, but the New York State Department of Education manages your UIAS issues for student IDs. They make sure that every student, that their IDs align if someone's transferring schools or if you have a new student coming in, that it has a new unique ID. From here, you're actually, when we get the end of year verification checklist from the State Education Department, and they tell you what reports you need to go look at, they actually show you the folder structure. So you know where you're going to find an individual report. For all the staff information, you come here to the staff folder. Here's the one I mentioned before. You can verify your staff snapshot reporting. Staff attendance is reported at the end of the year, and that's just a full count. What else is good here? Here's the 329. As soon as staff snapshot is reporting, you'll be able to look and see everyone's certifications. And then once course instructor assignment data reaches L2, you'll be able to look at your certification report. Okay, and that's as far as I can go. I can't drill down specifically into we're getting to PII after this. I also wanted to show you our website. Let me jump out there quick. Under resources, there are templates. If you are just building something, actually our course template is really sweet. Again, that's that video I mentioned that Jen has going. Again, from our home screen over here on the right, you can get a link directly to our YouTube channel to see all of our videos. And also under resources, that crosswalk that the state mentioned, we have it here for you. So if you want to find out what classes your teacher can teach, maybe your teacher popped up on the out of certification report and the report showed you what their actual certification is. They showed you that code. So you can choose to look up information based on a class ID number, a course ID number, a course description, like you might want to look for ELA, or maybe you're looking for history, or maybe you're looking for Korean, right? You're trying to find a course code. You can look at that way by what words you think will be in the title. Or you can look at an actual certification code or description. Like maybe you're just going to search students with to find all of the certification codes for special education. It would be students with disabilities. And this one, I'm just going to type in a code we saw earlier, 5013. This particular certification area is certified to teach all of the following classes. Definitely come look at the bottom first. There are 4 pages with 25 on each page. You can increase the number of records that you see and see everything all at once. And then you can drill down to say, okay, if you're the school with that media class and you want to see if there's a class that's comparable here in the course titles, I'm hitting Control F on my keyboard, typing in media, and it's telling me there are no class titles for this certification with media in the title. So then maybe you want to search for a couple words, you give up, you just want to scroll through and find a title that makes sense to put on that course. That's everything I plan to say and show, although actually there is one more thing I'd like to do. Let's look at a calendar. Where can I find a calendar fast? All right, we move data. Let's just get a calendar on here. Try to get it big. Every Wednesday. And so for data that's being, every time you load data in level 0, it's there, it is safe. Every time you enter an individual record and hit save, verify, validate and save, the data is safe in level 0. But it doesn't move to our level 1 in the data warehouse or go out to the state education, the city. We transfer everything to the city who submits it to the state. That doesn't happen until you do the L1 data prep. So if you complete the L1 data prep for whatever new work you reported this week by 9 a.m. tomorrow, we're going to package up that data and send it to the city on Wednesday. They're going to integrate it into their full data warehouse, and they're even adding all their data in because they're creating one big file. And the biggest file in the state, obviously, as the biggest school district. And then on Friday, they post the data through Secure File Transfer Protocol, SFTP, to the state education department. And then the state has this data from everyone across the state, and they're integrating it all. They're updating their L2RPT. And then on Monday, next Monday, the 17th, you'll be able to see a refresh of all those reports in L2RPT. And that schedule is really the same, that we move data on Wednesday, it's in L2RPT the next Monday. If you, sometimes you lock out, you might lock your data at 9:30 on Wednesday morning and we haven't pushed it yet and it might go through. It's possible though, if you lock it after 9 a.m., it's not going to go until the following week. So if you don't get in it by 9 a.m. this week, it might go on the 19th. That data would refresh in L2RPT on the 24th, and you'd have 2 days that you can make corrections in level 0. Thinking specifically about a teacher being accidentally tagged as a primary teacher when they're special education. You could get them off that out of cert list if you make sure they're tagged correctly. I love it. I was just noticing the automated transcribing here. Every word has a period at the end, and if I pause long enough, they'll start a new sentence. Boy, Siri needs to learn that for dictating there. Any other questions? I promise to stay online until I answered everyone. Okay, I have 2 follow-ups, was it? Regarding the certification, and I'm going to send you a couple links. One is L2, and the other one I wrote so quick I don't remember it, but I'll flip through the slides and I'll remember it again. Thank you all for joining us today. Please know that I do mean it literally regarding, oh, wrong, yeah, that was it. If you need us, call us. We know that this work is detailed and frustrating, and we just want to keep you up and running. So whenever you get stuck, just give us a call at that number, 631-218-4134. Term codes, what should we put for that? Okay, I'm going to, you need as many term codes to represent when students receive a final grade at your school. We have actually, I'm going to go to level 0. Hang on a second, I'll log into our sample school, and then I can kind of demo that live. Okay. Manual input, location marking period. So if you have a full year course, my recommendation is to use 1-in-1. There's one marking period and there's one term, a full year, when your students are earning a grade in a class. put in the dates that school started and ended for the school year. Please remember that all New York State codes need to be in this format of 4-digit year, hyphen 2-digit month, and 2-digit day. And then validate and save. There's one record. Oh, I already have a district-wide one in for virtually the same thing. Actually, when you were putting things in manual, I'm so glad I'm on the screen. If you start changing information, it will literally change the record that you just created. So before doing inputting new record, you want to make sure you hit clear. So now we can start again. At a charter school, if you K-12 or whatever, you only have that one DBN, and it would be an 84X123 or or Q, K, right? We see all those different letters in there to identify your school. Then you might want to think about what makes sense for you. Maybe if you have individual terms, you want to identify it by when they received those grades. So we did one full year for a full year class, 1 and 1. So if something is half a year, maybe you want to think about it as at the end of the second marking period. If you're a trimester area, school, maybe you want to say the end of the first marking period, and then identify a unique code for that. So the second way, a marking period, let's think of it that way. The second time you can get a grade, you're going to set up a marking period for that. This is the second way to earn grades. And then maybe it's solely for that single term, whether it's the semester or your trimester. And then you put in the exact dates for that. And then your next one might be, it's the third way to earn a credit. There's no, you don't have to do it in any certain way. I want it to be what makes sense for you. If you have a full year, I'm recommending 1 and 1, and especially if you're a K-8 building or anything in that area where students are not receiving a full credit in passing a class in a short period of time. By using 1 and 1, this information is used in course instructor assignment, student class entry exit, and the last template of the year there, which is student class grade detail. Remember, I mentioned before, the state needs to know pass or fail for all of your classes. And if you make it something simple that you'll remember based on marking period, and this is a chance where they can get a grade, and what term in my year does it fall in, so that you know it cold, then that might be the best numbers to use for you, so that you know where to put them in whenever you see the question regarding course instructor assignment, student class entry exit, or the student class grade detail. And there's a plethora of options, right? There are 8 different numbers that can go with 9 different options under the term code. S, though, is the only one that has a particular designation, and that should be used for summer school. You're welcome. I'm going to shut off the recording now. Thank you all for letting me do that, and I'll get that out on our website.